Joining me today is Anna Margaret. Anna Margaret, thank you for joining us this morning.
I'm glad to be here.
We invited you here today to share a little bit about the village and all of your wonderful experiences. Can you start by telling us what brought you to the village?
Well, my husband and I came about 10 and a half years ago. Aging is what brought us here, which is what this is all about, I guess. We just had gotten to the point where we were having to hire people to take care of the yard and maintenance and those kinds of things, and it financially it was just, we were better off to be here than we were to keep our house. And we knew about John Knox because we were involved back in the very beginning when Ken Berg started this, and so we knew about it, but we really didn't want to leave home. But when we came to visit the first time, we were sold, and we signed our contract the first day we came. So,
wow, you didn't waste any time.
No, we didn't.
And you've been here ever since.
Yes.
Having some fun?
Yes, this is a marvelous place to be. They're just, if anybody is bored at John Knox, it's their own fault, because they're just a wealth of things, and it's all variety. And I love volunteering, because I wasn't able to do that when I was working, because I was tied up and couldn't volunteer. And I've enjoyed that very much, getting to know people from around the village. And
so you're telling me you moved here because you really wanted to take advantage of the services like grounds and maintenance,
yeah,
and housekeeping, and you found your way into some fun.
Oh yes.
I see you've also found your way into some beauty because you look great.
Well, thank you very much. We have wonderful, beautiful beauty salons here. Just do a wonderful job, and that's nice to have right there. You don't have to go anyplace.
It's pretty handy.
Well, there is everything at John Knox. I mean, it truly is a village. I mean, I think I heard last week there were something like 15,000 or 1,500 people here. So that makes a village, and we have everything. We have 7 restaurants and 3 swimming pools and exercise rooms and meeting rooms and wonderful food, and it was just the best move we could have made.
You have so many things to enjoy around the village. How do you get around?
Well, we have Dial a Ride, which we just call, and they're there within a few minutes, and they take us where we want to go within the village, and they also take us shopping to the shopping centers and to the hospital for doctor's appointments, and so we're well taken care of. It's not like you're secluded.
So you just mentioned going out and going to doctor's offices and things like that. Are there any services that you've been able to benefit here at the village?
Well, services, medical services?
Sure.
Yes. We have home health, which I had used at one time when I had been in the hospital and wanted to be at home. And they are wonderful. They come and do whatever you want them to do, and they're marvelous people. Just like, I think the thing that is the most amazing to me are the associates that work here, all the people who work here. It's sort of like, I think you must give them a shot of something when they come, because they're all so good with us. And you know, old people sometimes get to be grouchy, and it doesn't seem to matter. They're just, the associates are just amazing here, and to a person. I mean, I just haven't run into anybody that doesn't really care about us.
Wow, you're making it sound really wonderful. I feel like maybe I want to move into the village now.
Well, you would be wise to be thinking about that, because I couldn't ask for any place better.
Well, you mentioned before that you are enjoying lots of things around the village and volunteering. I understand that you enjoy the theater. Are there any other kinds of things that you do for fun?
Yes. I guess this might not be what people might call fun, but I am in 2 exercise classes because if I procrastinate, and if I don't have a class to go to, I might skip the exercise part, and I really need that.
We all need an exercise buddy sometimes.
Yeah, and the people in the activities people are wonderful to work with.
Tell me about that.
Well, they take you in and do an evaluation at the beginning to determine what the program for you is going to be, particularly if you are like coming from the hospital and there's a specific thing you need to work on. And then you go through whatever number of times they think is necessary, and then they recommend a class to keep up with what you've been taught in the sessions. And they are so remarkable about being able to figure out what is going to help you. The first time I did therapy, one of the associates that works in the activities came to my apartment and went through the apartment to make sure that I had like rails next to my stool and that everything was safe for me in the apartment, which is, I would say that's above and beyond the call of duty.
It sounds like you really got some personalized one-on-one support.
Yes, I did, and still do. Every once in a while, I have multiple sclerosis, and so every once in a while, I need to have a tune-up, and they are just so good at figuring out what is good for you, and it makes such a difference.
So you use the home health services, physical therapy services, it sounds like.
Yes.
And you really have found a way to stay not only mentally, but also physically active.
Yes, I have. Another reason we moved here was because I had multiple sclerosis, and you never know how that's. When I was first diagnosed, the doctor said multiple sclerosis is different every day, and it's different every day for every person. So you can't really predict what's going to happen. And so this is a safe place, and although mine hasn't progressed much farther, it's been a real gift to be someplace where you're safe.
So having that peace of mind really meant a lot to you.
Oh, yes, and to my husband too. My husband just lived for a year before he was taken ill, and that was another service that we had. You have all the levels of service, and he was in the village hospice, and that was. Although that's not something you want to do, it was a most remarkable experience. My kids still talk about how wonderful those people were to us.
I think what you're sharing is a really remarkable story, because you're really talking about the lifetime of a person at the village, moving in, independent living, and working through the continuum all the way through hospice and using those services and having that support. When you moved into the village, did you ever expect to use this wide variety of services?
No, and I've been in the hospital a few times, and I come from the hospital to the care center, which is wonderful. Nobody wants to be there, and a lot of people complain about it, but I think they complain because they'd rather be at home. I would too, but the care is absolutely amazing, and the food is out of the ordinary. I just heard the man who's the head of food services at the care center talk one day, and he said, we try to please everybody, and we check when people come to eat if they are eating. And if they're not eating, then I or somebody else will go talk to them and see what would taste really good to you. And the best example he gave was, this woman said, well, when I was growing up, I loved brains with scrambled eggs. And I thought, well, I believe she stumped us. But he went back to his staff, and somebody said, I know where I can get him. It'll take a day or two. And so she had her brains with scrambled eggs. And
wow, that's dedication.
I just don't know any place else that would go to that extent to try to please you.
That's dedication.
Yes, it is.
Anna Margaret, I really want to thank you for sharing so much of your personal story with us today. I'd like to ask you before we depart, if people are considering the village, what is one piece of advice you'd like to share with them?
Well, I think come with an open mind, because we didn't. You know, we lived in Liberty and we wanted to stay north of the river. And in fact, my son, who knew a little bit about John Knox, who lives in Colorado, said, well, why don't you look at John Knox? And I said, I'm not moving to Lee Summit. And he said, well, but they may be able to help you find someplace. And like I said, we signed the contract the first day. I mean, once you get here and see what it is, it's hard to pass up. And I just think it was perfect for us. And I don't hear a lot of people complaining, which is kind of unique for a society that's made up of older people, because we have a tendency to gripe. But I think the general feeling is that this is the place you want to be.
I'm happy you're here with us.
I am too.
Thanks again.
You're welcome.